This is Goku-san, DBC, and welcome back to a new sort of short review slash retrospective. Looking back at a show that I remember quite well, a lot of people don't really discuss or talk about. Really, only one or two specific YouTubers have really discussed about this show before. It would be produced and distributed by, of course, none other than Saban Entertainment. Now, if you don't know who Saban is, well, they're the ones responsible for VR Troopers, as well as Mask Rider. Uh, Also, let's not forget Beetleborgs, and of course, most of all, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, or Power Rangers in general. And they would also be involved in English dubbing many different animes throughout the years. They would also be involved in Goosebumps show as well. So with that said, and this is sort of a look back at a show I have, is sort of a guilty pleasure fondness I have. And yeah, definitely Turtles The Next Mutation was a very interesting concept and idea. As now, one of the first things to note is that you want to get the remastered physical release, which was done several years ago by Neo Saban at the time, though they're gone now. Still an interesting show to experience. Now, one thing to know is they changed the main theme of the show. The original theme of the show back on Fox Kids in the late 90s was replaced as due to, I believe it was a loss of copyrights and stuff. So with the remaster, they chose instead to use the music that was used in the international release of the show over in Europe and other places. So that's what you get. Unfortunately, it's a garbage theme, in my opinion, compared to the original theme of the show. But with that said, yeah. Next Mutation is a very unique and interesting show, to say the least. One thing to also know about the show is it would introduce a new turtle, a female turtle. They would end up choosing the name of course, after art and stuff. Makes sense. I mean, given the original turtles, I mean Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, and of course they chose for the female turtle Venus, after of course Venus de Milo. And if you don't know anything about basic like European art history, well, obvious, just look up the names. But yeah, I think it actually made sense, name-wise and everything. She was raised by, over in Asia, by her master, which would also train her in the art of, instead of being a ninja, though they don't act like ninjas really, more like just warriors, but in the art of shinobi, which is basically ninja, more or less with, of course, mystical powers. Now, with that said, it is interesting. Definitely, the villains in the show are very different than other villains through Saban. You would definitely hear some familiar voice acting work for many of the villains. There were some villains I thought, like there was a Mad Doctor as one villain, and I'm never really cared much. Probably my least favorite of the normal villains. Also, you had a gorilla dressed up in like an old mobster style, like a suit and stuff, and actually acts like a 1920s mafia boss, but is a gorilla. So interesting, and of course it makes sense to have weird animals and stuff as villains and stuff in the show, given the Ninja Turtles. Also, you would have a new Shredder in the beginning, and basically would end up losing all his powers and stuff because of Venus. And basically, he is supposed to be like the younger brother to the original Shredder from the original film. Because if you may not know, this show actually takes place in the same timeline universe as the original live-action Ninja Turtle films. Makes no surprise to me whatsoever. But I mean, the fact you have that, which is interesting little fun fact. So it takes place in the same underground, like former train station stuff that they discovered actually in Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, and which was also used in the third Ninja Turtle film, which is an unusual film to say the least. But with that said, yeah, it takes place same universe as all that. So it's not really too much of a surprise. You also have appeared towards the end of the show a long since dead and now revived vampire with her two loyal, well, servant vampires, I guess you could say. Very interesting villain, to say the least. Definitely can be quite funny at times. There's a lot of slapstick, which you kind of have to expect given one, especially the second and third Ninja Turtle films. So, and given it is Saban Entertainment, you know it's going to have a lot of cheesy one-liners and stuff. One of the reasons I like the show overall, personally. Also, the fact you would have two key villains, I think, that really paved the way. I like. One is the introduction of the first real true villain, the main villain, I would say, really, of the series. He is an ancient, powerful, mystical dragon. And I just love, like, the voice work and everything. If you hear his voice, you're definitely going to recognize it from many past Saban. Sorry about that. Going on to the next part. And we have one particular villain that appears here and there throughout the show. It ends up having a sort of rivalry also with the vampires. That is the animal hunter, which likes to hunt specifically rare and endangered species of animals. Also, the name of that villain is called Bone Steel. He is actually played, and this is one of the only times ever the actor actually does a live action role as Bone Steel. His name is Scott McNeil. And in case you don't recognize his name, he has done quite a library of voice work throughout the years. He is one of the key things that makes the show great. Throughout the episodes he is in, he always brings a great amount of good laughs, as well as a great amount of entertainment and stuff. But I expect nothing of Scott McNeil. If you don't know some of the other stuff Scott McNeil was involved in, he was involved in the original first English dubbing of Dragon Ball Z back when it was the first dubbing, first like two seasons were dubbed by Pioneer Entertainment. Scott McNeil was involved in the original English dubbing of DBZ. Scott McNeil would also work on many other shows, such as Zoids, he would do voice acting work for. He would also do voice work for one of the main characters in Monster Rancher. He would also be involved in many other animes and stuff throughout the years. He was also specifically involved in Transformers Armada. He was involved in Transformers Energon. He was involved in Transformers Beast Machines and specifically Beast Wars. And he was also involved in Reboot. He was involved in also a little anime called Inuyasha. He did actually the voice of the character Koga. He's also done multiple characters throughout Digimon as well. But specifically, Beast Wars is the big one because he did 4 key characters in Beast Wars of voice acting work. He did Silverbolt, he did Waspinator, he also did Rat Trap, and he voiced Dinobot. So every time you heard banter and stuff back and forth between Rat Trap and Dinobot, that's Scott McNeil basically arguing with himself, which is kind of funny, really, when you think about it. But yeah, Scott McNeil as Bone Steel just brings hilarious amount of good comedy and sitcom slapstick, which I actually really appreciate quite a bit. But with that said, originally the show first episode debuted in September 12th of 1997, and the show would end May the 15th, 1998. So it would only last one season, unfortunately, which is a shame. it would end up seeing a total of around like 26 episodes. This show would end up seeing. So, I mean, at least it did get 26 episodes on the bright side. But it is sad how, more often than not, people either bash or just don't even acknowledge the existence. But funny enough, the turtles from this, including Venus, would actually be end up used the same year as a specific season of Power Rangers. They would end up doing a crossover. Basically, Next Mutation would do a crossover episodes on Power Rangers in space, believe it or not. Yeah. They did a crossover, though. The Ninja Turtle show does not even acknowledge the existence of Power Rangers. So they only appear in like a 2 episode double parter special in Power Rangers in Space. It's definitely pretty funny and I think quite enjoyable. Watching actually see brief moment like turtles battling it out with Power Rangers is pretty funny in my opinion. Um, but with that said, I think this show, frankly, deserves a little more love than it gets. Is it a great show? Even one of Saban's best? No. But I have a definite fondness for the show personally. Overall, of a scale of 1 to 10, I could see probably a lot of people would probably give this show like a 4 or 5. I could see. Personally, I give the show a like a 7 to a 7.5 out of 10. I view the show much more favorably. Now, last time I checked on like Google rating and stuff, the show has a 70%. IMDb, on the other hand, is only like a 4 point something out of 10. It's not great. Funny enough, Google ratings actually give it a much better rating overall than many others, like specifically IMDb and a few others. But with that said, that's just a brief little synopsis and some looking back at a show that definitely had a key amount of enjoyment for me personally, as I think for the most part, maybe I was a little older than the target demographic, but I enjoyed it because of being a fan of the original live action films and the fact this as actual canon and goes with the original live action films makes it all the better to me personally. And the voice work is great and is enjoyable as heck. If you want a good laugh and just laugh your ass off and stuff, check out Next Mutation. I believe you can watch like some of the episodes here on YouTube, and I believe it's also available on a few different other streaming platforms. I'm not sure at all which one specifically, but I believe it may be available on Tubi or something like that, however you want to say it. But you may want to check on Roku. But with that said, I'll see y'all next time, same YouTube channel. Stay safe out there. Let me know if you'd like me to do like one of these like little basic synopsis type videos on maybe Big Bad Beetleborg slash Metallics, or well, VR Troopers, or even say something like Mask Rider, as that is a show, funny enough, that's never gotten a physical release. Mask Rider has never seen a DVD release. Even VR Troopers managed to get, along with Turtles and Beetleborgs, all got physical releases. But Mask Rider did not. And there's definitely quite a story behind that show, to say the least. But with that said, I'll see you next time. Stay safe out there. And hopefully you enjoyed music today. It was a mixture of retro wave with also Minecraft music. So with that said, I'll see you all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.